This is the Kia EV6, not only the first full electric vehicle from the Korean marque, but it's also the full electric vehicle from this marque here in this country. Now, mercifully, we were given the opportunity to actually take a full in-depth walk around of this car in much better lighting a lot earlier. My name is AIMAN ABDULLAH, this is MalaysianMotoring, this is our walk around review of the Kia EV6, and in the next shot, we're going to go back in time. Now this car in particular that's on display is an all-wheel drive long range, as I mentioned earlier, which means that there is a two-motor setup producing 321 horsepower and 605 Newton meters of torque. That is enough to rocket this 5-seater family car from 0 to 100 in just 5.2 seconds with a top speed of just under 190 kilometers an hour. Not that you'd ever need to be doing those speeds anyway. Now, the more important part is this is powered by a 77.6 kilowatt-hour battery, which is the same as the Hyundai Ioniq 5 because it shares the same eGMP platform. But this car can do up to 506 kilometers based on the WLTP range. Now, in comparison, the Ioniq 5 does only a little over 430 kilometers, which means you definitely have a little bit less range anxiety to worry about in here. But more importantly, the design of the EV6 is meant to stand out. As we all know, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is incredibly bold and slightly divisive looking car, and this, I guess, is meant to appeal to those looking for a slightly more dynamic machine. You have a much more pointed face up front with a reinterpretation of the tiger nose grille. You have these big black slats on the bottom, and you have functional aerodynamic intakes here in order to help channel air smoothly over the body of the car. Now, more importantly, you have these very beautiful and very distinctive full LED headlights, and of course it's crowned by the new Kia badge, which is 2D and enormous. Now, at the rear of the EV6, you have this sloping tailgate mounted with this beautiful, nice single-piece rear spoiler with, again, a little bit more aerodynamic work here. That's one of the reasons why you don't see a rear spoiler on this car, because according to Kia, there is enough airflow generated by this spoiler in order to keep the rear windscreen clean. Now, of course, you want me to talk about the light bar, so I will. Now, one of the most distinctive features of this car is, of course, lighting. As you saw in the front, you have a very sharp, full LED headlight system, and back here you also have a full LED taillight system with this beautiful single sort of boomerang style rear light. Now, you may be wondering where the indicators are. They're not actually built into this. They're actually built into this little chrome piece here, because this is actually translucent. It looks like chrome when it's not illuminated, but the LEDs can shine through. A little bit like what you get on the new Range Rover. Now, of course, at the bottom, there are no exhaust pipes because there is no engine. You also get the EV6 badging here and GT-Line badging on that side. That's why this car looks quite so distinctive, because this is available as a GT-Line model. And you get gorgeous 20-inch alloy wheels wrapped in Continental premium contact tires. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed that the panel on this side is not quite replicated on the other. That's because on the other side is where the charge port lives, which means that if you were to mount a wall box at home, you can just reverse park your car, as opposed to having to drag the cable all the way down the side. BMW. Now, you also get an enormous Kia badge here because you want everybody to know it's a Kia, and overall, you can definitely say that this is a striking looking machine, which continues on the side of the car. Now, down the side of the EV6, as you can see, because this is a GT-Line model, as I mentioned earlier, this car rides on 20-inch alloy wheels, which not only look good, but in terms of the aerodynamics, they've been styled in order to cut through the air as smoothly as possible. Aerodynamics is very important with an electric vehicle because that's what it allows it to maximize range. The same goes with the rear spoiler. As you can see, there's a flying buttress here, again, in order to smooth out airflow. The same goes with the door handles, which sit flush with the body, again, to minimize the amount of air turbulence, but they pop out if you have the key. Now, inside the Kia EV6, we've been given exclusive access to take a look at what this new electric vehicle will be like. And we can tell you now with absolute confidence that BERMAZ definitely wants this to be positioned as a premium vehicle. All the materials in here are soft touch. You have this leather-like material here and down on the door cards. Even here, this lovely white here feels very nice to touch. And of course, up ahead, you have two digital displays. You have the instrument cluster ahead of you, and then you have a curved center infotainment display, which gives you all of the relevant information, which at the moment says the car will will only do 376 kilometers in the full charge. It's probably because we're running the air conditioner. And of course, as I said, because materials in here are nice, even this is this lovely soft touch. You get beautiful ambient lighting throughout the car. This car comes specified with a Meridian surround sound system, which means that you have basically the same sound system as what you get in a Jaguar. You also get dual electric seats on either side with lumbar support, done up in this beautiful Alcantara with contrast stitching and white accents around the seats. It is absolutely stunning. Now, in terms of interior specification, as I mentioned earlier, you have the two dual displays, which are very nice. You have a dual spoke center steering wheel, because obviously it has to be in the center. As you can tell, I wasn't really prepared to be sitting in this car. You also get the paddle shifters on the back, which obviously do not manipulate a gearbox, but rather it manipulates your regen, which means you can increase or decrease the regenerative braking, and if you press and hold this button as you're slowing down, the car can be brought to a halt. Now, because this car is built on the EGMP electric platform, it means there is no central tunnel, so you actually have a lot of space under here in this floating center console, which is big enough for a handbag, perhaps. You also get USB-C and USB-A outputs down on the bottom, and if you can't be bothered to have a cable, you have a wireless charger here. Now, this car comes with dual zone climate control, one for yes, it's dual zone climate control, and so you have one for the driver and one for the passengers. Now, in the back, as I'll explain to you later, there are actually B-pillar mounted aircon vents to ensure that rear passengers are kept very comfortable. You also get ISOFIX mounts, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's, as I said earlier, this car is very clearly meant to appeal to a premium sort of buyer, and I think that compared to the Ioniq 5 and even Mazda's own MX-30, you might be very easily swayed by this. Now, in the back of the EV6, as you can see, there is plenty of space. This seat has been set up in my driving position. As you can see, I have plenty of legroom and not too much footroom though, because the floor in this car is quite high to accommodate the lithium-ion battery underneath, which means I can't quite tuck my feet in, but it doesn't matter because look at the amount of space I have. Now, in terms of interior accoutrements in the back, as I mentioned earlier, you do get B-pillar mounted aircon vents, which I can point directly at my face, keeping me nice and cool on this very, very hot day. And you have some USB-C ports on either side of the front seats, ensuring that rear passengers are well accommodated for. You still have the Meridian surround sound system, and you still have all of the plush materials that you had in the front. Now, of course, you do have some cup holders in this center console, but more importantly, you also have a center pass-through to allow you to fit long items through the cabin should you need to. These rear seats can also be folded 60-40. I'm discovering this as I'm telling you, which means you can use this on a daily basis, even if you want to move house or buy furniture. Now, there is one more feature in this car that I haven't yet told you about, and that is the fact that in addition to the USB-C port, you actually have a 3-pin socket under here. It's an AC 250 volt 16 amp outlet, which means you can actually run household items like a laptop, for example, back here should you want to. I don't think it works with an extension cable, so if your kids say bring the flat screen and the PS4, you can tell them to sod off. But in terms of just charging items, if should you need to charge a laptop while you're on the go, or you want to use your car as a mobile office, you can actually do that. And if you're looking at this as a family car, obviously you have 3 3-point seat belts at the back, but you also have ISOFIX mounts, which are very easily locatable down here. And as far as I'm concerned, this looks like a pretty usable everyday family car. The fact that it has a maximum range of 506 kilometers does mean that you could probably get away with only DC charging this car once a week, which means it's very similar to what you get in a combustion car. Now, in terms of practicality, we have to talk about the boot, so let's go back there very quickly. Now, in the back of the EV6, behind this beautiful powered tailgate, you can see that there is an absolute expanse of space. While practicality is robbed slightly by the lowered roofline, the fact that this boot goes in quite so deep means that you do not compromise on practicality. There is also almost no load lip to speak of, and if you pull the tabs on the side, you can fold the seats flat, which means it makes it a very practical space to put things. Now, in terms of underfloor storage, there is a little bit, but the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that there is a bit of a step here. That does mean that not only do you have space back here, but you can actually lower the boot floor in order to accommodate taller items in the back of this car. There is also a plastic panel back here which hides the subwoofer for the Meridian audio system, which means this car should have plenty of audible punch. Now, as I'm sure you would have seen, there is a little bag back here which no doubt contains the Type 2 charging cable, which allows you to charge from a 3-pin socket to the car. Now, obviously we don't recommend doing this because being an electric vehicle, it will take 4 bloody ever to charge the car. So instead, get an AC wall box. Don't be a cheapskate. Speaking of charging is actually done from this little panel here, where when you press it, it opens electronically. Now, you have the AC and DC chargers back here, but more importantly, one of the special things about Kia vehicles is that you have a vehicle to load functionality. So by using a small adapter, you actually have another 3-pin socket back here, which means if you were to take this car on a camping holiday, for example, you could bring a microwave or a washing machine or whatever the hell you'd want, really. And that means that this car can act like a massive power bank should you want to. How the hell do I close this? Like that. See? Very practical. Now, while my esteemed colleague does the interior, I will have to talk to you about two things: safety and price. So the Kia EV6 arrives in this country with the full safety suite of features, which includes autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitoring, as well as some other stuff, which makes this one of the safest vehicles on the market, let alone one of the very few that have zero emissions. Now we have to talk about price. The new Kia EV6 arrives with a 5-year warranty and a 7-year warranty for the battery pack. Now, all of this is available at just 300,000 ringgit, or a little bit over 300,000 ringgit, with all taxes and registration fees included, which means that this Kia goes right up against premium vehicles like the BMW iX3, and it actually goes over vehicles like the Volvo XC40 and the Mercedes-Benz EQA. However, as covered earlier, this car does have a lot more performance and a lot more range to offer, which means EV buyers will no doubt be very interested in a vehicle like this. Now, talking about allocation, of course, we haven't been told specific numbers, but we are made to understand that Kia Malaysia has secured one of the largest allocations in Southeast Asia, which means EV buyers within this country will enjoy certain benefits and hopefully slightly faster delivery times. In any case, let us know what you think. Do you think this $300,000 Kia has enough to go up against proper premium brands, or do you think that Kia might be slightly overreaching? Let us know in the comment section below. In any case, that has been our full walk around of the Kia EV6 at their new showroom here in Glenbury. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon so you're notified every time we make a new upload. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.